Students, today we are going to study the next part of Unit 2, that is Morphology of Flowering Plants, and we have done two parts of it. Now today we will start third part. What does third part consist of? So these are the topics we are going to study today. Gynoecium, position of ovary, epigynous, hypogynous, perigynous, three conditions, cohesion in the carpels. On that basis, the types of gynoecium: apocarpus, syncarpus, number of locules, and three conditions: unilocular, bilocular, and multilocular ovary. Then types of inflorescence: racemose and cymose. Here we will study the definition and the differences only. Subtypes we are not going to study. So as you know that gynoecium, this is the innermost wall in the flower. Like four whorls of flower you have studied. That outermost whorl, which is calyx, the second is corolla, third is androecium, and the last whorl, which is known as the gynoecium. This gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower, made up of one or more carpel. Now what is carpel? Here you see the structure of carpel. A carpel is the unit of the gynoecium, consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube, which is called as a style. The style connects the ovary to the stigma, and this stigma is being the receptive surface for the pollen grains. So pollen grains, they are received by the stigma, and each ovary further bears one or more ovules. You just see here the ovules. These ovules, they are attached to a flattened cushion like structure, which is known as the placenta. Here you can see in the transverse section of the ovary, this is placenta on which these ovules are attached. And after fertilization, these ovules, they develop into seeds, and ovary, it matures into the fruit. This is the outer wall of the ovary that forms pericarp in the fruit, and here ovules, they change into seed after fertilization, and these are the carpel. So here you will see the three carpels are there in this ovary. This is compound ovary. Now we will study the cohesion and the position of the ovary. So position of the ovary, when we study here in the flower, then there are that three conditions in the flower on the basis of position of ovary. So here we will see the first condition. This is the hypogynous flower. In the hypogynous flower, the flower is said to be hypogynous if sepals, petals, and stamens are inserted below the ovary. You can see here, this is ovary. So sepals, petals, and stamens, they are inserted below the ovary. In such flowers, the ovary is superior. You can see ovary is the superior at upper side, and all the floral organs, they are inferior, because they all are arising at the base of the ovary. Examples: brassica, mustard, lycopersicon, that is tomato. So this is hypogynous flower. Now next type of flower on the basis of position of ovary is perigynous. In that rose, strawberry, plum, peach, in these flowers, the thalamus forms a cup shaped structure. You see this. This cup shaped structure is formed by thalamus, and this cup shaped structure is formed by thalamus around the ovary, and sepals, petals, and stamens appear to be inserted on the rim of the cup. Means here at the rim of the periphery of the cup, these sepals, petals, and stamens, they arise. So such flowers are known as perigynous, and the ovary is known as the semi inferior. Means here ovary, little it is being at the upper side, and some it is being at the lower side. So ovary is known as the semi inferior. Now epigynous flower. In epigynous flower, when the thalamus completely encloses the ovary. You just see here, this thalamus here, it is covering the ovary completely. So ovary now it is at the lower side. So ovary is inferior, and this thalamus, it completely encloses the ovary and fuses with the ovary wall and the sepals. So sepals, petals and stamens, they seem to arise above the ovary. So all these three walls, calyx, that is the sepal, petal and the stamens, they seem to appear or arise from the upper side of the ovary. So in this case, the flower is said to be the epigynous flower, and in such flowers the ovary is inferior. So ovary is being inferior, and all these floral organs, they are superior because they are at upper side. So examples of epigynous flower, they are cucumber, apple, guava, ray florets of sunflower. So these are the three conditions on the basis of relative position of floral parts on the thalamus and the position of the ovary. Now we will study cohesion in the gynoecium. As you know that the gynoecium is made up of carpels, and in turn each carpel is made up of three parts, that is stigma, style and ovary. So we will study the cohesion of the carpels, that is the attachment of the carpels. So a gynoecium may consist of one or more carpels. So let me see whether these carpels are fused or free. So two conditions are there when the carpels are free and the carpels are fused. So the first condition, we study the apocarpus. So apocarpus is the condition where a pistil or two or more carpels, they are free. For example, ranunculus, lotus, you see here, this is apocarpus condition. All these three carpels, they are not fused, they are free. So this is apocarpus condition. Second condition is syncarpus. Syncarpus condition means a pistil or two or more carpels, they are fused. You see here 1, 2, 3, this style and stigma are seen, and you see here, but at the base the single structure, it means that the ovaries, they are fused here. So this shows the fused condition in the carpels. So a pistil or two or more carpels which are fused. So you can see in the transverse section here also that three carpels, 1, 2 and 3 are seen, but they are fused. This condition is observed in brassica, tomato. Arrangement of the ovule may be different in the syncarpus condition. Here these are attached at the center ovules, here they are attached at the periphery, but the carpels are fused. So when the carpels are united together or fused, this condition is syncarpus, and when the carpels are free, this condition is apocarpus. Now next we will study number of locules. What are locules? Chamber or compartment in the ovary, they are termed as the locule. So on the basis of number of locule, there are types of ovary. Suppose if only one chamber is there, then it is unilocular ovary. Unilocular ovary is found in cucurbita and stellaria. Bilocular ovary. Bilocular ovary means two chambers. Here you see bilocular, here 1 and 2 locules are there. So this is bilocular ovary. Here in the center you see the placenta. On the placenta these ovules are attached. So two locules, two chambers, bilocular, for example in the solanum. Trilocular, where the three locules are there, 1, 2 and 3 locules. Here also, here 1 and 2, but here 3 locules are there, 1, 2 and 3 locules, 3 chambers found in Asphodelus. You can learn any of the example from your book. Here I am explaining with the help of one example. You can learn one or more from your book. Then the tetralocular ovary. Here the tetralocular, tetra means 4. So when the 4 chambers are there, means 1, 2, 3 and 4 locules are here. 4 chambers are here. This condition is tetralocular. This is found in ocimum. Then multilocular or pentalocular. So this type of ovary where more that ovules are there, more than 3 or 4, then this condition is said to be as the multilocular condition. So this is, you see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 chambers. So this 5 chambered ovary, this is known as the pentalocular or multilocular ovary. It may be the condition there where more than 5 that locules are present in the ovary. So these are the number of locules. Now we'll see the placentation. What is placentation? This placentation, and next that topic we will see types of ovules. These are not in the syllabus, but I am explaining you here for the practical purpose, because you have practical on the basis of flower in the next class. So study these points here also. So placentation, what is placentation? The arrangement of ovules within the ovary. This is known as the placentation. So you see, these are all are the ovules. How are these ovules arranged in the ovary? This particular arrangement is known as the placentation. So different types of placentation you will see here. First, the marginal placentation. This is marginal. In this type, the gynoecium is monocarpellary, means single carpel, and ovary is unilocular, that is single, one locule. This is unilocular ovary. And placenta are borne on the fused margin of the same carpel. This is placenta. And ovules are borne along the ventral suture of the carpel, and here this is one ovule, and this condition is found in the legumes. Legumes means that plants which produce pods, phalli. Then we will see the axile placentation. Axile placentation, in this type of placentation, gynoecium is multicarpellary, syncarpus. You see 1, 2, 3 carpels are here, that is tricarpellary ovary, maybe many carpels. So multicarpellary, syncarpus, they are fused, means carpels are fused, and ovary is multilocular. So locules are also more, and the placenta are borne on the fused margin of the same carpel. So these carpels, when they fuse, so placenta, they are borne on the fused margin of the same carpels, and ovules are borne on these margins which meet on the central axis. So all these margins of all these 3 carpels, they meet in the center, form the placenta, and on this placenta, this is the central axis, and at this central axis you see these ovules. So this type of placentation is found in tomato, citrus, China rose. Then we'll see the parietal placentation. In this type of placentation, gynoecium is multicarpellary. Here you can see 1, 2, 3 carpels, maybe more than that. Multicarpellary, syncarpus. Ovary is unilocular, but here ovary has only one locule. Here you see the 3 locules are there in this ovary, but here locule is one only, that is unilocular. And the placenta are borne on the fused margin of the same carpels. So these carpels, when they fuse at this place, the placenta arise. So placenta are borne on the fused margin of the same carpel, and here you see the ovules are attached on this margin. So this type of placentation occurs in watermelon and other cucurbits also. So this type of placentation is known as the parietal placentation. Sometimes the ovary becomes 2 chambered also due to the formation of false septum, like in Brassica. Now we'll see the next that type of placentation, that is free central. In this type, that gynoecium is multicarpellary, syncarpus. Again the ovary is unilocular, but the ovules appears to arise from the center column. Here in the center they are arising, means from the central column. This type of placentation is found in the dianthus, primula. Next is the basal placentation. Basal placentation, here again the ovary is unilocular, single locule, and solitary ovule appears to rise from the base of the ovary. So here ovule is only one. So ovule appears to arise from the base of the ovary as in the sunflower. Here in marginal placentation, ovules means maybe more, not necessary one, they may be more in marginal placentation, but in basal placentation, ovule is one, solitary ovule. Example, sunflower, helianthus. Next is the superficial. In this type of placentation, the gynoecium is multicarpellary. You can see many carpels are here, and syncarpus, that is the carpels are fused, and most of the internal surface of the ovary wall is covered with the ovules. You can see here that internal walls of the ovary, all they have ovules attached in this. So you see this is the internal that partition in the ovary, and on this partition here it is the placenta, and here the ovules are attached. So this type of that placentation is known as the superficial, as in water lily, nymphea. Now after placentation, types of ovule, this is also just for your information, for practical purpose I am explaining you. Types of ovule depending upon the relative position of micropyle and chalaza at maturity, the following types of ovules have been recognized. So what are these? First you understand what is micropyle and the chalaza end is there. This is micropyle, that is the opening of the ovule here, and this is the chalazal end. So on the basis of position of the micropyle and chalaza and the types of ovule are here. So first ovule is orthotropous. Here this is this type of ovule is upright with micropyle, means micropyle. Here a micropyle, chalaza and the funicle, they all are in the straight line. So all these three structure, where is the funicle? This is funicle, this is micropyle, and this is chalazal. But here in this orthotropous condition, that micropyle and funicle and this funicle, micropyle and chalazal end, this is chalazal end, all three are in the straight line. So this is known as the orthotropous condition and found in polygonum. Now anatropous. Anatropous is the that condition where the unilateral growth takes place in the funicle, this is funicle, and the whole body of the ovule is inverted through 180 degree. So in this manner, the micropyle, this is micropyle, it comes close to the base of the funicle, and nucellus, it remains straight. Thus micropyle and chalaza, this is chalaza, this is micropyle. So micropyle and chalaza, they lie in one line, and the funicle lies to the parallel to it. Most common type of ovule occurs in flowering plants. Its detail you will study in 12th class. Now next is hemitropous. Hemitropous type of ovule. Here in this type, the body of the ovule is turned through 90 degree, and that is, it is horizontally placed. You just see its condition is horizontally placed on the funicle. So funicle is here, and on the funicle, due to this turn of the ovule, it becomes hemitropous. Now here the micropyle and the chalaza, they are in horizontal line, and funicle lies at the right angle to it. This is seen in the primula. Then we will see the campylotropous. This is campylotropous, where the ovule has a curved body. You see the curvature is here. So curved body, but its curvature is less than that of the anatropous ovule, and micropyle and chalaza, they are not in straight line. You see micropyle is downside, and here the chalaza. So they are not in the straight line, and funicles, right, this funicle, it lies at the right angle to the chalaza. So this is the condition known as the campylotropous, and example chenopodium. Next, amphitropous. Amphitropous means there is also that curved body, but like that of anatropous, and embryo sac also bends. But here in anatropous, embryo sac, inside it you see it is straight, but here bending of the this embryo sac also takes place. So embryo sac bends and it becomes horseshoe shaped, found in Elisma. So this is Amphitropous. Then Circinotropous is there or Circinotropous is there. In this condition, what happens? The funicle is very long. You see here that this is funicle and this is being very long and circles the body of the ovule. So that is why it is the Circinotropous is there, because it forms a circle around the body of the ovule. Example is Opuntia, plumbago. These are the examples of types of ovule. Now the next term we will study inflorescence. So what is inflorescence? Children, you have seen that some of the flowers they born singly. So they are solitary flower. So flower is said to be solitary when it occurs singly. And the solitary flower may occupy the terminal position on a branch, that is known as the solitary terminal, like papaver. They may arise on the lateral position in the axil of the leaf, that is solitary axillary. But sometimes we see the flowers they born in clusters, in group. So an arrangement of more than one flower is known as the inflorescence. Now inflorescence range in size from minute to huge with few to very large number of flowers. The aggregation of flowers in an inflorescence makes them conspicuous to attract insects for pollination. And many flowers in inflorescence are pollinated by a single visit of an insect. So that is the benefit of the inflorescence. You see here the two inflorescence I showed you. So here many flowers they are arising on a branch, and they help in pollination also. How? Like in a single visit an insect can pollinate all the flowers. So therefore inflorescence combines economy with greater chances of pollination and surety of abundant seed production. Now types of inflorescence. There are two types of inflorescence on the basis of order of development of flowers within a cluster. So in which order the development of the flowers takes place, on that basis two basic types are there. These are racemose and cymose. So let me see what is racemose. You just see here in the racemose, this is the floral axis. So flowers arise on the floral axis. So this floral axis, it shows indeterminate growth. You see at the tip of the floral axis the growth is continuous, means flowers they are arising or they arise in a continuous manner, indeterminate growth. And this type of that growth, this is here known as the indeterminate growth, and the order is the acropetal order. Acropetal order means oldest flower are at the base here, and means at the lower side, and the youngest are there at the upper side. So oldest flower is the lowest one and the youngest is at the uppermost. So the number of flowers is theoretically unlimited. But in cymose the condition is different, opposite of the racemose. Here in cymose the growth of the main axis, this is the main axis, growth of the main axis is determined, means it is determinate, means further it does not grow. So the development of the first flower here limits the apical growth. यहाँ apex पर growth नहीं होगी, यहाँ पर continuous apex पर growth होगी racemose में, but cymose में apex पर growth नहीं होती है. So the first flower when arise here, it limits the apical growth of the main axis of the inflorescence, and other flowers they formed in basipetal order. So what is basipetal order? The oldest flower is the terminal end, at the terminal end, and younger ones they arise in the lateral position. So this is the cymose inflorescence. Let me study their differences here. That racemose main axis showing the unlimited growth, cymose main axis shows the limited growth. Flowers arranged in an acropetal succession, I explained you just now. Here they are arranged in basipetal succession. Opening of flower is centripetal. Here opening of flower is centrifugal. Racemose flowers, usually the oldest flower at the base of the inflorescence. Here the oldest flower is at the top of the inflorescence axis. So students, this difference we have completed, and in the next part we will study further that other that parts that is related with the plants itself, and you read this topic from the book also and ask your doubts and write important points in your notebook.